morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Magmortar card. Although we do need to have a little bit of a look at Magmar as well. They do very much come as a pair. But if we start off with Magmortar, we see it's got 130 HP. We quite like 130 HP. 130 HP means it can take a hit from the non-GX Buzzwole, from Zoroark, etc. So there's a nice start. That is, as I would like to describe it, a handy bonus. We've got a retreat cost of 3, which is kind of high, but it's not high enough to use buff padding. So that's actually really bad, and we don't like that very much at all. It's got a weakness to water, which is fine. If water decks become really popular, you're going to see a whole bunch of the Articuno from Team Up, which will get an easy one-hit KO on this. They're just not terribly relevant at the moment. And being a fire type is awesome. Pheromosa and Buzzwole's coming in the next set, and that's seeing a huge amount of play and success over in Japan. Plus, you've got metal decks like Lucario and Melmetal, which has also been seeing a fair amount of success and play in Japan. And then, of course, fire's about to become awesome. We've already got Heat Factory Prism Star. We're just about to get Salazzle, which has that, but as an ability, so you can essentially use it over and over and over again. And then we're getting Welder, which allows you to attach 2 fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. And then in the next set, we're getting Giant Furnace, which is Viridian Forest, with the exception that you can search 2 energy, not 1. But they've both got to be fire. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a very good time to be a fire Pokemon. So are these going to make the cut? They're not basic after all. We got a whole bunch of good basics. Are these stage 1s going to make it? Well, according to David Hochmann, limitlesstcg.com/translations is where we got the translations. David's pretty good at this kind of stuff. The first attack is the one we are primarily concerned about. Double colorless energy, 50 damage. It's alright. If the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your opponent's next turn, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, that attack does nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, the entire point of this is extremely simple. It is a stalling deck, which is designed to stall out your opponent and stop them ever actually being able to attack. That's what it does. That is the point of this. Now, we do need to stop for a second and just look at the wording specifically to make sure we're on the same page. It says if the defending Pokemon tries to attack, not tries to attack the active Pokemon, i.e., if your opponent is attacking a different one of your Pokemon, that's fine. If they were to play something like a Counter Catcher to bring a different Pokemon active, they would still have to flip, and if they flipped to Tails, it wouldn't work. But it is the defending Pokemon. And the rule is very clear that if a Pokemon goes to the bench and then comes active again, that is counted as a new defending Pokemon. Which means if you attack into this, but then your opponent plays something like a Guzma, puts up a free retreating Pokemon, and then retreats into the same Pokemon, then that, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, is a new defending Pokemon. And that means that they don't have to flip a coin. They can just attack right away. So your goal here really is to try and make sure that your opponent isn't able to switch their active. Your active doesn't matter. They can switch your active as much as they like. But unfortunately, they cannot switch their own active. Well, I mean, they can. They'd love to. But it means that you then don't get that protection. They don't have to flip a coin. The other thing we need to mention here is if the defending Pokemon tries to attack, flip a coin, which means a Victini from Guardians Rising would do nothing here. If you attack, flip a coin, if heads, the defending Pokemon can't attack next turn, then you've got Fliptini. But unfortunately, it is during your opponent's turn that they are flipping. It's not when you're attacking, so boo, hiss, etc. Okay, so that's all the specifics out the way. This is good. If you can make sure that your opponent cannot switch their active, they have got a 50% chance of attacking you. And we've seen a couple Pokemon lately that have exactly this as an ability. We've seen it on the Greninja from Detective Pikachu, of all things, which has this as an ability. If your opponent tries to attack, they flip a coin. If tails, it does nothing. Cool. And then we saw just the other day Whimsicott GX that has that again as an ability, exact same ability. I'll pop links to those cards in the description. But when I was talking about them, my point was extremely clear. These cards are good because of the ability. Now, I like Greninja a lot more than I like Whimsicott, and the reason for that is extremely simple. Greninja gives up 1 prize, Whimsicott gives up 2. You don't want to give up 2 prizes, because then you put your opponent in this awkward situation where they've got to flip a coin in order to attack. And then if they flip a heads, they can attack. But they're only attacking 50% of the time. So even if they're 1-hit KO and they're getting 1 prize every 2 turns, if they're 2-hit KO and they're getting 1 prize every 4 turns, and they're basically not going to win the game like that. So the question essentially becomes, well, hang on a second, alright, but why would we play Magmortar over Greninja or Whimsicott? Well, playing it over either of them is really easy. Whimsicott gives up 2 prizes. Greninja is a stage 2. There we go. That's why you would play it. The other advantage here is that you're attacking for just a double colorless energy. This is a single energy attachment, and then you get to go ahead and attack. As for the damage, 50 damage is fine. It's not great, it's fine. With a choice band, you're doing 80 damage. With weakness, you're then doing 160. You're 2-hit KOing basically anything that's weak. Even something like a Celebi and Venusaur, you're not getting particularly close to a 1-hit KO, but a 2-hit KO here should be no problem. You're doing 320 over 2 turns. You're golden. You will need a choice band, and you will actually need a choice band for both the hits here, unless you've got a Shrine of Punishment in play, because otherwise you're only actually doing 260. Speaking of which, Shrine of Punishment, whenever you've got, and this is another reason we don't really want to play Whimsicott, we'd rather play Greninja or Magmortar, because you've got the chance here to stall your opponent. And we talked about this in a bunch of videos. You stall your opponent, they're not able to attack, and they take 10 damage after your turn, then damage after theirs, and etc, etc, it rolls on. And every turn they don't attack is essentially an extra 20 damage onto each of their EXs and GXs. So yes, it's only 50 damage, and yeah, Greninja does 50 damage to 2, which is, this one might sound a bit obvious, literally twice as good. But Greninja's a stage 2 for 2 energy, and yeah, it's got stuff like Aqua Patch, which is cool. But this is a stage 1 for a single energy, that makes it much better. And at this stage, we need to look again at Reset Stamp. And this is going to be a theme, right? This is going to keep coming up. We're going to keep getting Reset Stamp being mentioned in video after video after video. Reset Stamp makes your opponent shuffle their hand into their deck and draw a number of cards equal to the number of prizes that they have remaining. Well, if they've got 1 or 2 prizes remaining, you play this, and then they're not going to be able to draw something like their Guzma. Maybe they can retreat once or twice, but they ain't going to be able to retreat forever, ladies and gentlemen. And when they aren't able to retreat, and they're not able to switch out the active, you're basically winning at that stage. That is, I believe, how we're playing this. You really want Reset Stamp or something similar to put your opponent down to a small hand, and you make them flip to attack, and if they can't do it, ha ha ha, they lose the game. Now, I did very briefly mention Magmar at the beginning of this video. Magmar, for 1 fire energy, has the same attack, but it only does 10. 10 damage if the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your opponent's next turn. They flip a coin. If tails, it does nothing. It's cool. It's a fun little attack. It's a smaller, weaker version of Magmortar, but you can use this from the first turn you're allowed to attack, and for that reason, it's a nice early game attack. Now, as for the second attack on Magmortar, 120 discard an energy from this Pokemon. It's fine. It's only 1 extra energy, and you've got Welder that lets you attach 2 energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon and draw 3 cards. So you can either just use double colorless energy and then at some point just attach and you're fine, or you can go ahead and use Welder. It's not that expensive to pay. I'm not loving this. We've got other fire Pokemon. If you want to play it just for smashing, we've got other fire Pokemon we can use. But it can 1-hit KO a Celebi and Venusaur with a choice band. Same thing Lucario and Melmetal. So if you're playing this as a Magmortar deck and you're stalling, it gives you a bigger, smashier option. I don't like hitting 120 like we talked about. Magmortar's got 130. That's way better than 120. So for the same reason, I want to be hitting 130. I don't want to be hitting 120. It's not a bad attack. It's a fine attack. It's okay. It's meh. It's not bad. It's fine. But what I like here is that it's a nice option if you're using the first attack. And I do like the first attack. Used blindly, your opponent's probably just going to get around it. But use that at the right time with stuff like Reset Stamp. I think you could have a really annoying deck where your opponent just can't attack. Just please do remember that if they switch their active Pokemon, even if the same one then becomes active again, boo, hiss, etc. I'm going to be giving this between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. Incidentally, this is going to be amazing at a pre-release. I just think there's potential here, and I think there is an annoying deck, and I think people are going to make this work and win games because their opponent just can't attack. I also think those same people are going to lose when their opponent keeps flipping heads, but you know, you can't win them all. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's Magmortar, that's what I think, but I would very much like to know what you think. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you check out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about other games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.